Edge, born Adam Copeland, began wrestling on the Canadian independent circuit in the early 1990s, performing under names like Sexton Hardcastle. He trained at Sully's Gym in Toronto under Ron Hutchinson and Sweet Daddy Siki and competed in regional promotions such as Border City Wrestling and the Apocalypse Wrestling Federation. His early in-ring style blended missile dropkicks, planches, and aggressive striking, drawing influence from Bret Hart's technical work and Shawn Michaels' athleticism. In 1997, Copeland signed a developmental deal with the World Wrestling Federation and trained at Dory Funk Jr.'s Funkin' Dojo, a precursor to the modern developmental system. He officially debuted on the June 22, 1998 episode of Raw is War, portrayed as a silent, unpredictable loner who launched attacks from the crowd. Wearing long trench coats and avoiding promos, Edge was introduced as a chaotic force with an unrefined but high-impact offense. Though not immediately positioned for titles, his distinct look and wild energy quickly made him stand out in the crowded Attitude Era landscape. Edge's first major storyline began in September 1998 when he aligned with Gangrel to form The Brood, a vampire-themed faction that soon included Christian, Edge's real-life best friend and kayfabe brother. The group was known for its gothic presentation, black leather attire, sunglasses, and a dramatic entrance through a ring of fire. Their signature move was the bloodbath, where red liquid would fall from above onto their rivals, reinforcing their eerie, cult-like mystique. In the ring, the Brood competed primarily in fast-paced six-man tag matches, often facing teams like D-Generation X and the Hardy Boys. While they didn't capture titles, the trio earned a strong cult following. They were briefly absorbed into The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness, but storyline tension arose when the Brood refused to participate in the Ministry's dark rituals. This led to their exit from the faction and a return to independent status. This era cemented Edge's visual identity and laid the groundwork for the Edge and Christian tag team dynamic that would dominate the next phase of his career. After the Brood disbanded, Edge and Christian transitioned into a full-time tag team by early 1990. They began as babyfaces, but slowly leaned into villainous tactics in the lead-up to WrestleMania 2000. At that event, they captured their first WWF Tag Team Championship by defeating the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys in a triangle ladder match, a three-team ladder match that laid the groundwork for the future tables, ladders, and chairs format. Following their victory, Edge and Christian fully embraced their heel personas. They became known for their smug attitude, comedic backstage segments, and the signature 5-second pose for the benefit of those with flash photography. Between 2000 and 2001, they won the tag team titles 7 times, often through distractions, interference, and opportunistic strategy. Their feud with the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys became a cornerstone of the Attitude Era. Their matches at WrestleMania 2000, SummerSlam 2000, and especially WrestleMania 17's TLC match were among the most dangerous and innovative tag team contests in WWE history. These performances helped establish Edge and Christian as both high-impact athletes and standout personalities on the roster. Edge's first major singles run began in mid-2001 after a storyline split from Christian, who turned heel. In June 2001, Edge won the King of the Ring tournament by defeating Kurt Angle in the finals, a milestone that signaled WWE's plans to elevate him beyond tag team competition. Following the win, Edge captured the Intercontinental Championship multiple times, defending it against opponents like Lance Storm and Test. His ring style shifted toward more technical counters and pacing adjustments suited for singles matches. During the WCW Invasion storyline later that year, he also won the WCW United States Championship from Kanyon, briefly lost it to Rhino, and regained it before unifying the title with the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series 2001. In July 2002, Edge teamed up with Hulk Hogan in an unexpected pairing that won the WWE Tag Team Championship on an episode of SmackDown. Although the reign was short, it gave Edge exposure as a dependable babyface alongside a major legacy act. He remained a central figure on the SmackDown brand and became part of the SmackDown Six, a core group of wrestlers including Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, and Rey Mysterio, known for delivering high-quality matches during WWE's brand split era. Edge's persona during this time was that of a focused, resilient competitor. He continued refining the spear as his primary finisher and gained credibility through consistent performances across both mid-card feuds and high-profile TV matches. This era laid the technical and narrative groundwork for his eventual rise to main event status. Edge returned to WWE in April 2004 after undergoing neck fusion surgery that had sidelined him for over a year. Initially reintroduced as a babyface on the Raw brand, he quickly began showing signs of frustration during his pursuit of the World Heavyweight Championship. Repeated losses and increasingly aggressive tactics signaled a character shift. His full heel turn took place in early 2005 during a feud with Shawn Michaels, where Edge adopted a more ruthless and self-centered demeanor. At WrestleMania 21 in April 2005, Edge won the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match, earning a guaranteed world title shot at a time of his choosing. This victory solidified his new opportunistic identity and introduced a strategic wildcard element to his persona. In mid-2005, a real-life affair between Edge and Lita, who had been in a relationship with Matt Hardy, became public and was integrated into WWE storylines. Edge and Lita were paired on screen, drawing intense crowd backlash. This angle became the foundation for his rated R superstar character, which leaned into mature themes, personal scandal, and boundary-pushing content. Edge's in-ring style evolved to favor brawling, underhanded tactics, and psychological warfare. While still technically proficient, he prioritized match control with distraction, interference, and manipulation. His promos became more antagonistic, directly attacking his opponents and provoking the audience. By the end of 2005, Edge had fully rebranded as one of WWE's most reviled heels, holding the Money in the Bank contract and building towards his first world title reign. Edge cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on January 8, 2006 at the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view. Following John Cena's grueling Elimination Chamber match, Edge immediately challenged him and won the WWE Championship in under 2 minutes. This was the first Money in the Bank cash-in in WWE history and marked a pivotal moment in his career, officially launching him into the main event scene. The next night on Raw, Edge and Lita staged the Live Sex Celebration, an in-ring segment that became one of the most controversial and highest-rated moments of the Ruthless Aggression era. This segment solidified his branding as the rated R superstar, a persona built around calculated controversy, sexual themes, and shock-driven storytelling designed to provoke audience reaction and stand out in WWE's evolving product. Edge's first title reign lasted 21 days before he lost the championship back to John Cena at the Royal Rumble. Despite the short reign, his momentum continued to build. At WrestleMania 22 in April, Edge faced Mick Foley in a hardcore match that ended with Edge spearing Foley through a flaming table. The match elevated Edge's credibility as a brutal competitor capable of thriving in high-risk, high-impact environments. In October 2006, Edge aligned with Randy Orton to form the tag team Rated RKO. The duo quickly targeted D-Generation X and captured the World Tag Team titles, giving Edge another dimension as both a top-tier singles star and as a tag team force. By the end of 2006, Edge was firmly positioned as one of WWE's most dangerous and versatile main event heels. After the Rated RKO partnership ended, Edge resumed singles competition and re-established himself as a top-tier heel. In May 2007, he defeated Mr. Kennedy on Raw to take possession of the Money in the Bank briefcase. 4 days later, on the May 11th episode of SmackDown, he cashed it in against The Undertaker, who had just defended the World Heavyweight Championship in a steel cage match and been attacked by Mark Henry. Edge capitalized on the moment, winning the title and becoming the first wrestler to cash in Money in the Bank twice. Edge quickly became the central figure on SmackDown, capturing multiple WWE and World Heavyweight Championships. He feuded with Batista through mid-2007, then entered a long-term rivalry with The Undertaker that culminated in a Hell in a Cell match at SummerSlam 2008. In 2009, he had a personal and high-stakes feud with Jeff Hardy that revolved around betrayal, the WWE Championship, and family history. He also clashed with Rey Mysterio in a series of title matches that further solidified his position at the top of the card. His dominance was heavily supported by an on-screen alliance with SmackDown general manager Vicky Guerrero. Their partnership granted Edge storyline protection, frequent title opportunities, and interference in key matches. Together, they became one of the most despised pairings of the era. Edge's character leaned into manipulation, psychological control, and tactical exploitation of loopholes to maintain his position. In 2010, Edge returned to Raw and began shifting toward a tweener and eventually babyface role. He won his final World Heavyweight Championship at TLC 2010 in a fatal 4-way TLC match and retained the title against Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania 27. 1 week later, April 11, 2011, Edge announced his legitimate retirement from in-ring competition due to cervical spinal stenosis, a serious medical condition that ended his career after over a decade at the top. Edge officially retired from WWE on April 11, 2011 after being diagnosed with cervical spinal stenosis, a narrowing of the spinal canal near the neck that placed him at serious risk of paralysis if he continued wrestling. At the time, he was the reigning World Heavyweight Champion and was forced to relinquish the title on Raw in an unplanned farewell segment. The retirement was legitimate and medically enforced, bringing an abrupt end to a 13-year in-ring career. On March 31, 2012, Edge was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania 28. At just 38 years old, he became one of the youngest inductees in history and the first to enter the Hall of Fame less than a year after retiring due to injury. His induction was presented by Christian, marking their legacy as one of WWE's most iconic duos. While Edge remained inactive in the ring, he made occasional appearances on WWE programming, including anniversary specials, award shows, and guest segments. Outside of WWE, Edge transitioned into acting. He appeared in various television series and films, most notably taking on the recurring role of Kjetil Flatnose in the History Channel's Vikings beginning in 2017. He also featured in WWE Studios productions and co-hosted the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness on the WWE Network from 2016 to 2018. Despite growing fan speculation about a return, Edge remained medically disqualified and was not cleared by WWE doctors for any in-ring activity during this period. On January 26, 2020, Edge made a surprise return to in-ring competition at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view in Houston, Texas. Entering as the 21st entrant, he received a massive crowd reaction. His first match since retiring in 2011. Although there had been online speculation, WWE kept the return unannounced, enhancing its impact. The comeback was made possible after Edge underwent extensive medical evaluations and was fully cleared by independent specialists and WWE's internal medical team. The following night on Raw, January 27th, Edge was attacked by Randy Orton, setting off a personal and violent rivalry rooted in their past alliance as Rated RKO. At WrestleMania 36, Edge defeated Orton in a last man standing match that was pre-recorded and presented in a cinematic format due to pandemic restrictions. They faced off again at Backlash 2020 in a traditional wrestling match that was promoted as the greatest wrestling match ever. Orton won the rematch, and Edge suffered a torn tricep during the bout, which sidelined him for the remainder of the year. Edge had signed a multi-year contract with WWE that featured a limited match schedule, allowing him to focus on high-stakes storylines while managing physical risk. In this return phase, he adopted a slower, more methodical in-ring style that emphasized emotional storytelling, strategic pacing, and veteran-level psychology, distinguishing his performances from the high-risk, high-impact approach of his earlier career. Edge returned from injury in January 2021 and won the Royal Rumble after entering at number 1, becoming only the third wrestler in WWE history to do so, following Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit. The victory secured him a world title match at WrestleMania 37. After several weeks of storyline development, Edge selected Roman Reigns as his opponent for the Universal Championship. Daniel Bryan was later added to the match, creating a triple threat main event for Night 2. At WrestleMania 37 in April 2021, Edge faced Reigns and Bryan in a physically intense contest. During the match, Reigns used a steel chair and ultimately stacked both opponents on top of each other for a simultaneous pinfall, retaining the Universal title and asserting his dominance as the leader of the Bloodline faction. Edge continued his feud with Reigns in the months that followed. He challenged for the Universal title again at Money in the Bank 2021, but interference from the Usos contributed to his defeat. Edge then aligned with Rey and Dominic Mysterio in six-man tag matches on SmackDown, repeatedly facing Reigns and the Usos in faction-based encounters. After the Reigns storyline concluded, Edge began a new feud with Seth Rollins, which became the central focus of his 2021 run. Their rivalry featured multiple high-profile matches and marked Edge's shift away from the Universal Championship picture. During this time, Edge maintained a part-time schedule, appearing primarily in major storylines and pay-per-view events. He was used as a veteran figure in the main event scene, helping to elevate ongoing rivalries and reinforce the credibility of WWE's top-tier talent. During his feud with Seth Rollins in mid-2021, Edge began incorporating darker elements into his presentation, visually referencing his origins in The Brood. At SummerSlam 2021, he entered to The Brood's original entrance music, emerging through fire effects and wearing Gothic-inspired gear. This marked a shift toward a more sinister, psychological version of his character, a fusion of his late 1990s Gothic aesthetic and the aggression of his Rated R era. Edge and Rollins engaged in a three-match rivalry. Edge won the first match at SummerSlam 2021. Rollins secured a win in the second bout on SmackDown on September 10, 2021, using a low blow and a stomp. The feud escalated when Rollins invaded Edge's real-life home in a storyline segment broadcast in October, increasing the personal stakes. The rivalry culminated at Crown Jewel 2021 inside Hell in a Cell, where Edge won the final match of the trilogy in a critically praised encounter. Edge continued evolving this darker persona into early 2022. He began cutting cryptic promos with dim lighting, symbolic language, and a more manipulative tone, emphasizing themes of control and judgment. These changes directly set the stage for his next transformation, the formation of a new faction that would debut at WrestleMania the following month. In March 2022, Edge began issuing open challenges leading up to WrestleMania 38, delivering cryptic promos with symbolic language, altered lighting, and religious overtones. He positioned himself as a higher-order figure seeking to liberate WWE superstars from complacency and the control of authority figures. At WrestleMania 38, Edge defeated AJ Styles after interference from Damian Priest, marking the formation of a new faction, the Judgment Day. Edge led the group as a cerebral cult-like figure. Rhea Ripley joined the faction at WrestleMania Backlash 2022, expanding it into a trio centered around themes of transformation, judgment, and mental superiority. The faction's visual presentation included gothic elements such as purple lighting, slow ceremonial entrances, and throne symbolism in backstage segments. Promos were delivered with theatrical delivery, reinforcing the faction's apocalyptic and philosophical tone. On June 6, 2022, just one day after Finn Balor officially joined the Judgment Day, the group turned on Edge and violently expelled him in a surprise betrayal. The swerve marked a rapid pivot in direction as the group transitioned into a younger, edgier heel stable without its founder. Edge returned to a babyface role and began feuding with Balor and Priest, the very members he had originally brought together. In 2023, Edge continued making limited appearances on WWE programming under the terms of his part-time contract. His segments were primarily centered on legacy matches and reflective promos that acknowledged his long career and hinted at its conclusion. WWE promoted the year as a milestone, framing his appearances around the 25th anniversary of his debut. On August 18, 2023, Edge wrestled what was promoted as his final match under his WWE contract on an episode of SmackDown in Toronto, Canada, his hometown. Billed as a 25th anniversary celebration, the main event featured Edge facing Sheamus in a singles match. Edge had personally requested Sheamus for the bout, citing their real-life friendship and shared training history. He won the match clean and received a standing ovation from the crowd. Although the moment carried retirement overtones, WWE never officially labeled it as such, leaving the door open for speculation. Following the event, reports confirmed that Edge's WWE contract had expired and that he had declined a renewal offer. Neither Edge nor WWE issued a definitive statement on his future. His departure brought an understated end to a 25-year tenure with the company, absent of formal retirement ceremonies, championship pursuits, or storyline conclusions. His next step remained deliberately undefined. On October 1, 2023, Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge, made his AEW debut at the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view in Seattle, Washington. He appeared at the end of the show after Christian Cage successfully defended the TNT Championship. Copeland entered to a licensed version of his longtime entrance theme Metalingus by Alter Bridge and confronted Christian in the ring. After teasing an alliance, he attacked Christian's allies, Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne, establishing himself as a babyface and signaling the start of a new rivalry. AEW introduced him under his real name, marking a new chapter in his career while preserving continuity with his WWE legacy. His debut storyline centered on his history with Christian Cage and gradually transitioned from confrontation to a reluctant partnership. Copeland's first official AEW match took place on the October 10th episode of Dynamite Title Tuesday, where he defeated Luchasaurus in the main event. Copeland's AEW presentation emphasized creative freedom, extended match formats, and character motivations rooted in legacy. His promos focused on finishing his career on his own terms and working with younger talent. While maintaining the aura of a veteran performer, he adopted a more grounded and authentic tone, speaking openly about his journey and his desire to prove he could still perform at an elite level.